Have you ever wondered about the stories we haven't been told? We often think we know the life of Jesus of Nazareth. We know of his miraculous birth in a humble manger. We know of his teachings, his parables, his miracles. And we certainly know the story of his final days in Jerusalem, his crucifixion, and the resurrection. But what if there were chapters of his life that remain hidden, tucked away in the shadows of history? What if he embarked on a journey far beyond the familiar landscapes of Galilee, Judea? This is a question that has captivated thinkers, mystics, historians for generations. Did Jesus really go to India? This idea that Jesus traveled to the East is a powerful one. It suggests a connection between the spiritual traditions of the West and the ancient wisdom of the East. Imagine a young man seeking knowledge from great sages and masters. Imagine Jesus at the feet of a Buddhist monk, a Hindu guru, sharing ideas about God, humanity, the nature of existence. The Christian Bible, specifically the New Testament, is our primary source for the life of Jesus. The Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John provide detailed accounts of his ministry. We read about his birth in Bethlehem and the events surrounding it, a brief glimpse of him as a boy at 12 years old, astonishing the elders with his wisdom in the Temple of Jerusalem. After that single event, the narrative falls silent, the curtain drops. For nearly 2 decades, we hear nothing. Jesus disappears from the historical and biblical record, re-emerges around 30, baptized by John the Baptist in the Jordan River, ready to begin his public ministry. These are the missing years, roughly aged 12 to 30, often called the lost years, a significant gap in his biography. Did he remain in Nazareth? The modern story of Jesus in India exploded into Western consciousness in the late 19th century. The central figure is Nicholas Notovitch, a Russian war correspondent and traveler. In 1887 he traveled through remote Ladakh in the Himalayas. He claimed to have stayed at the Hemis monastery. The lamas showed him ancient Buddhist scrolls about a holy man from the west named Saint Isa. Notovitch said Isa left his homeland young and traveled to Persia, then to India, then to Tibet. He studied with Brahmin priests, he studied with Buddhist monks. He returned to Judea to preach. Notovitch published his findings in 1894 in The Unknown Life of Jesus Christ. It became an instant sensation. The tale Isa, identified as Jesus, learned the Vedas. He studied Buddhist philosophy. He preached against the caste system in India. The scrolls allegedly detailed his travels, teachings, and wisdom. For many Westerners, this bridged Christianity and the ancient religions of Asia. Swami Abhedananda visited Hemis in 1922 and said he saw the manuscript and helped translate parts. In the 1920s, Nicholas Roerich reported hearing local legends about Isa. Another key part is a tomb in Srinagar, the Roza Bal shrine, revered by some as the resting place of Uz Asaf. When Nicholas Notovitch's book was published, it caused a stir among the public and within academic and theological circles. Mainstream historians, biblical scholars, linguists immediately reacted with skepticism. The first major issue was the source itself. Notovitch was the only person to claim he had seen the scrolls. Later scholars who visited Hemis monastery to verify the story were told by lamas there that they had no knowledge of Notovitch or such documents. Reports even say the head lama publicly denied any such text existed. That lack of corroboration is a major red flag for historians. Historical inquiry depends on verifiable, independent evidence. A single unconfirmed traveler's account, however dramatic, doesn't meet the standard. Inconsistencies in Notovitch's own story raised further doubts. He claimed a broken leg led to an extended stay at the monastery, but questions remain about whether that injury even happened. Critics suspected fabrication, for fame or money, mixing local legends with imagination. Claims by others who supposedly confirmed the tale, like Swami Abhedananda and Nicholas Roerich, have also been closely scrutinized. Their reports were often vague, lacking verifiable specifics. Modern scholars argue they may have been predisposed to believe, since the legend fit their East-West syntheses. The overwhelming consensus among mainstream scholars is that the Jesus in India story is a hoax or a modern myth. When we move beyond stories and ask for hard proof, the case for Jesus' journey to India becomes incredibly difficult to sustain. The primary piece of evidence, the Notovitch scrolls from Hemis monastery, has never been found. No other independent researcher has ever laid eyes on them. No other historian has ever laid eyes on them. No other linguist has ever laid eyes on them. In the world of historical analysis, a document that cannot be produced for examination is effectively non-existent. Without the scrolls, we cannot examine the paper or parchment, we cannot test the ink. We cannot study the language and script or verify their age. We are left with nothing more than Notovitch's word, which was immediately questioned and has since been largely discredited. What about other texts? Any mention of a wise man from Israel named Jesus, Isa, Yusasaf, in ancient Indian or Tibetan literature? Scholars who have spent their lives studying these documents say, no, the libraries of Hindu literature are silent. The libraries of Buddhist literature are silent. The libraries of Jain literature are silent. There are no accounts of a foreign teacher who debated Brahmins or preached to the masses in the way the Isa legend describes. Then there is the archaeological and artifactual evidence, or rather, the lack of it. Archaeology has helped us reconstruct much about life in first-century Judea and Galilee. We have found synagogues Jesus may have preached in, and even the remains of the house of his disciple Peter. If Jesus had spent years traveling and teaching in India, one might hope to find some trace of his presence. To date, no such archaeological evidence has ever been discovered. To understand this topic, we must draw a clear line between myth and history. History is a discipline built on evidence. It relies on primary sources, texts, artifacts, records that can be critically examined, cross-referenced, and verified. For example, we know Emperor Augustus reigned during Jesus' birth, because we have countless coins, statues, inscriptions, texts confirming it. When we apply this standard to Jesus, the evidence for his existence in Galilee is strong. Besides the Gospels, Tacitus, Suetonius, Flavius Josephus, these references confirm a man called Christos or Christus lived in Judea, started a movement, was executed by Pontius Pilate. This is the factual bedrock for our historical understanding. The story of Jesus in India, by contrast, is a myth. A myth often concerns early history of a people or explains a natural or social phenomenon, and typically involves supernatural beings or events. Myths aren't necessarily false, their truth isn't historical. They convey deeper meanings about culture, spirituality, the human condition. The legend of Saint Isa functions in this way. It speaks to a desire for universalism and a connection between the world's great religions. It's powerful and inspiring but lacks evidence as a historical event. Comparing the two, established facts place Jesus in first-century Judea. Claims about India originate in the late 19th century. They rest on a single, unverified account of a lost manuscript never seen by others. We can appreciate the Isa legend spiritually, but it does not withstand historical scrutiny.